Good morning, interweb welding students. Today we're going to cover section 2 of module 4, Intro to Power Tools. Specifically, we're going to be talking about power saws with an objective of identifying and explaining how to use circular saw, which you'll see right here. Identify and explain how to use a saber saw and a reciprocating saw. Identify and explain how to use a portable bandsaw. And identify and explain how to use a miter and cutoff saw. So let's talk about a circular saw. Like drills, all circular saws have a great deal in common. All drills have something in common. All saws have something in common. But the weight, balance, feel, and the power can differ quite a bit amongst saws, just like drills. So, blade choice. You can cut anything from wood to metal to bricks and concrete. Circular saws can cut a lot of different materials, but you have to have the right blade and the right type of circular saw. Some are more powerful than others. Here you see this carbide teeth increases blade life significantly. I wish I could highlight that for you because that's a test question and I was unable to find it in text until just now. But we're going to scroll down a little bit and talk about some more about circular saws. I'm going to turn the page. But before I do, take a quick look at the different guards. There's the lower guard. This is the thing that slides back when you start to cut. But this upper guard right here, this is not movable. Now you can take tools and remove it, but you don't need to remove it to change the blades, but it's called the upper guard, and it's referred to several times throughout this section. So I want you to know what an upper guard is. It's right here. It's on the upper part of the blade. So moving right along, you'll see carbide tip blades are very common, but you must use appropriate saw blade for the job. But the test question actually says it increases blade life significantly. Carbide tip blades are expensive, but they're a good investment because of the increase in the blade life. Here you see in red again, be sure to align the blade with the waste side. What is the waste side? Well, this line that's cut right here is called the kerf, K-E-R-F, kerf. It's one of your trade terms. You can see that when the kerf actually uses some material. So if you need a board that's 6 inches long and your kerf is 1/4 of an inch wide, then you're not gonna have a 6-inch long board. You're gonna have a 5 3/4 of an inch long board if you don't place the kerf correctly. So the side on the right here is the good side that you're trying to cut. The side on the left is called the waste side. That is the non-used portion. So you always want to make sure that you set your kerf to follow the waste side. So when you see it in red, it's a test question. Be sure to align the blade with the waste side. That's because of the kerf. The saw kerf must be considered in measurements when making the cut. Always be aware of the side of the cut line you need to place the blade on. When marking for a cut, mark an X on the waste side. That's so you'll remember. If you'll notice, especially sometimes you'll have different people cutting and different people measuring. Right here, this would be the waste side. This would be the kerf side. So you want to put an X here. That's the waste side, so that whoever's doing the cutting, or if you're measuring 10 boards and you go outside to cut them, you'll know how to make your cuts. So you want to make sure you put an X on the waste side. Make sure don't forget which side is which. When marking for a cut, mark an X on the waste side. The saw kerf is an unavoidable result of sawing any material. And let's move this over a little bit. There we go. Before connecting the saw to its power source, talking about safety now, you need to make sure that the blade is tight and that the blade guard is working correctly. And I believe there's a test question that says you need to also make sure that the saw is turned off. And I didn't find that in the text. But you need to know where your saw's power cord is located at all times, because accidentally cutting through the power cord could cause you to get electrocuted. Never cut your own power cord with your own saw. That wouldn't be your best day as a saw operator. And remember to always disconnect the power source before performing any maintenance. Manage the power cord before the cuts begin. Yeah, look and see, okay, I'm going to be cutting across this board right here. Is my cord in the way? If it is, it's a good idea to move it before you start your cut. All right. There's another kind of saw called a worm drive saw. Basically, it's got a worm drive is a gear it's a round, long gear. It looks like a worm. Blades can be cleaned with hot water, mineral spirits, but be careful with mineral spirits because they are flammable. You know, it's not like the saw is going to catch on fire. It does have electricity running through it, and mineral spirits evaporate fairly quickly. But anytime you're in construction or on an industrial work site and you're using anything that's flammable, you have to be aware of, because there's always sparks, there's always fire, heat, so forth. Just, you know, when you're not using your mineral spirits, where do you store it? Where are you putting it? Is that safe? You know, high levels of awareness and knowing what you're working with and knowing what's around you is the overriding theme of everything that we do. All right, saber saws. Some people call them jigsaws. Some people call them reciprocating saws. There's all kinds of different words for them. This book refers to them as saber saws. Saber saws, sometimes referred to as, look at that, I didn't see that. Sometimes referred to as jigsaws. Have very fine blades, and there's different types of blades. Some are thicker than others because the blade goes up and down like this, and it saws. So if you have a thick blade, you can't make as sharp of a turn. If you have a real thin blade, almost like not much bigger than a wire, you can almost just turn that sucker on a dime. So technically, these are reciprocating saws. These are reciprocating saws, dude. Adjustable base plate, swiveling left to right, allow them to make bevel cuts. Yeah. Excuse me. In red, saber saws are used for doing delicate and intricate work. Intricate is another word for delicate. Sharp turns, designs, cutting things out. There aren't straight lines. Saber saws have changeable blades. You can cut drywall, wood, metal, tile. Fine-toothed blades are used for thin material and smoother cuts. The more aggressive, a bigger saw blade you'd use for cutting a sheet of plywood or some kind of a 2x4, but you wouldn't be able to do the more delicate, intricate cuts on thinner, delicate material. So different blades for different jobs. That's the thing you need to know. A reciprocating saw, regardless of the manufacturer, is often referred to as a sawzall. Now, sawzall, I have one here in the shop I can show you. This is not a sawzall. We're going to turn the page, see if we can find a picture of one of those. That's a sawzall or a reciprocating saw. Reciprocating saw, it's another type of reciprocating saw. It's just bigger. It's like the jigsaw, except this blade sticks out much further. They're excellent for demo work. Their design and cutting action makes them unsuitable for detail work. Yeah, they're hogs. They eat. Here's a good picture of a guy. You can cut through nails. You can cut through just about anything you want to. And you use them to, cut a hole in something, and then you kind of build back your detail after. But that's a sawzall or another type of reciprocating saw. Let's turn the page. Okay, this is a portable bandsaw. Here's a picture. We have one of these in the shop as well. So you see, this is the saw band. It's right here, and it runs around a wheel here, and there's wheels on both sides hooked to a motor. And whatever you're cutting, you can put it right on there. It's good for cutting pipe or metal. Not that great for wood. Portable band saws can cut pipe, metal, plastics, wood, irregular shaped materials. It's especially good for cutting heavy metal. But it will also do fine for cutting wood. Although it can cut wood, it's almost exclusively used to cut metal on the job site. All true. I agree with 100% of that. The bandsaw has a one-piece blade that runs in one direction around guides at either end, or wheels, guides, whatever. The blade's thin. It's a band. It's like a belt, and but it's metal. It's like a hacksaw that spins. We have one here like this, and we also have a bigger bandsaw that doesn't move. You have to bring the metal to it. So that's bandsaws. Let's turn the page. I think we might be getting close to the end. Let's see. Oh, miter saws. This is a miter saw. This is used for cutting trim and complex angles. The power miter saw combines a miter box with a circular saw. So this is a miter box, and this is a circular saw on top, and you put your wood in here, and you can turn different angles. This is a finished carpenter's tool. But you need to know, because miter saw is a question on test. The power miter saw combines a miter box with a circular saw. Remember that? Now we have saw like this, a miter and cutoff saw. This is one like we have on the chop table out here. We use chop saw, miter saw, cutoff saw. All those are all words that kind of mean the same thing. And here's the end. A couple of extra section review questions. These will also be on the test. The proper way to start cutting material with a circular saw is to rev the saw to full speed and slowly move forward. You wouldn't want to put the saw into the wood and then try to start it. It wouldn't start. But if you got it going, it'll cut right through that wood. A saber saw is an effective tool for doing delicate work, thin materials. The blade on a portable bandsaw runs in one direction around guides. And finally, a type of miter saw in which the blade can be pivoted horizontally and vertically is called a compound miter saw. So that's going to wrap up section 2 of Mod 4 in power tools. So far we've covered drills in section 1 and saws, reciprocating saws and circular saws in section 2. And now it's time to move into the trade term quiz and the study guides. If you like the content of this page, please like and subscribe. You send money. No, I'm just kidding. Don't send money. I've been watching too much YouTube. But if you want to make a bonus, you can send me a text in Schoology that says reciprocating saws are cool. 5-point bonus.